Do you think the agenda is being redrawn for this president? When he came into office, if you remember, 29th of May 2011, you take a look. You remember his inaugural speech. He talked about tackling corruption. He talked about creating employment. He talked about the issue of electricity and all of that. But it would appear that as we sit down here and talk about, discuss this country, it would appear that there's just one agenda, one issue that people are actually discussing all over the country today, and that's the issue of security. So it appears the agenda is being redrawn for this president, going by what is happening across or in some parts of the country.
Well, I obviously the currents of insecurity is redefining. I do not believe it's necessarily redefining the entire agenda, but is prioritizing that as the principal issue of the moment. Obviously, you can't do a whole lot in the absence of security. The whole life of a state is about the security of the citizens. You can't do much, you can't advance development and so on and so forth. So to the extent that we are facing this ordeal, I would say that the issue of security is defining the priority commitment of the government. But with due respect, security, yes, but the problem of this nation, some of them, security is just the consequence of endemic problem. For example, the issue of corruption, the general problem of this country emerges from the deep-rooted corruption in public service. Like I said in NTA a while ago, in our nation, corruption is like a wasting disease. At the early stage, it's difficult to detect but easy to cure. But we have now reached a late stage. It has metastasized. It is now easy to detect, but almost entirely difficult to cure. And we don't, unless we have a strong leader who is willing to keep his hands and his eyes from commonwealth, is not going to bring about change. And
I'm just going to pause you. Let me just pause you there. Let me ask you to hold on there. I'm still going to come back to you. Let me go over to you, Mr. Ogunade. Tell me, what do you think? What do you make of the way that this government has, been dealing with the problem of security so far? You take the issue of Jos, for instance. We've had soldiers there for a very long time now. In spite of the presence of the military in that part of the country, you still, violence keep happening almost on a daily basis. And then, do you think the way we're handling the issue of Boko Haram, that we're doing it the right way?
I don't think so. I don't think so. To me, Jos is a place that is on the hill. From Rokuba Road, if you're approaching Jos from the airport road, and of course inside town, Rayfield area, Bukuru Road, and so on. These are places that, the security men, they will set up their dragnets, they are infiltrated town. These people can't just come in and go. They are not ghosts, they are human beings. But to me, the whole thing is that government is tackling this issue or handling this issue with kid gloves.
You think there's some kind of politics involved?
That's what. And unfortunately, they are playing politics with human lives. Every day, innocent people are killed, are sacrificed on the altar of politics. And we can't continue this issue this way.
What do you make of this?
Well, you see, every day Nigeria looks more and more like Pakistan, where there's endemic deep-rooted corruption, where the political...
And just because you talked about Pakistan, let me just say this, for the benefit of our viewers, that I happen to have a friend who traveled out of the country, and, this friend came across a Pakistani, and when the friend now told the Pakistani that he comes from Nigeria, what the Pakistani actually said was, well, Nigeria, Pakistan, the same thing, every day, bomb, bomb, bomb. Oh. So really something very serious.
Yes, it's also characterized by... politicians that are not patriotic, that do not seem to believe, in the common destiny for all. And again, the continuing security problem in this country is clearly an indication of a state that is said to be failing, because one of the indices of a failed state is that, you know, the state is no longer has monopoly over the means of coercion, and that is what we are seeing in this country, where you have all kinds of militia, you know, under arms. In virtually every part of the country, you talk about Masob, you talk about Boko Haram. There was the issue of the Niger Delta militants the other time, and so on. But there's something that we also have to say about the ongoing security situation in this country, and that is that it has been with us since the advent of the so-called 12 years of unbroken democracy from 1999 till date. We had the insurgency and the insurrection in the Niger Delta, and so on and so forth. So it has been a continuity, more or less. That also characterized the Yaradua administration. We must not forget. So security situation as we have it now is not something that is wholly peculiar to the Jonathan Goodluck administration. It has been with us for quite some time and has been on the ascendancy. And so you are looking at a
unfortunately, so
unfortunately, so you are looking at a country that every single day is tottering, is more on towards the precipice of disintegration, and that is why a lot of us are worried about what is going on.
Well, let me go over to Dr. Bayomi in Abuja. I mean, you just listened to Achike Chude there, and he said it would appear that we're moving towards a failed state. Of course, this is not the first time we've had this before. Some time ago, we were actually told that a foreign group actually said Nigeria may just be a failed state in probably 15, 30 years' time. Do you think we're moving towards that direction?
Yes. Clearly, we are moving towards that direction. Ambassador Campbell is a friend of mine, and I know before he came out with his work, he has done a lot of research, both inside and outside our borders. We are actually moving towards it. The way you will actually know we're moving very fast towards it is not just a question of the general insecurity. It's also the incapacity of our security establishments. It's not just in Jos. You go into Niger Delta and see what is happening with the oil industry. The level of bunkering that is taking place. Yes, you say you have joint task force. Indeed, today in this nation, the security institutions are defined by their uniform, not by their action. Whether you're talking of the military establishment, the so-called joint task force, in any zone where they are, or you're talking of the police, or whatever paramilitary establishments we have, their definition is purely their uniform. Not the inspiration they have, not the work they have, not the commitment, not knowledge, not intelligence, not a feeling that they owe a duty to their nation, independent of the government, or to the government dependent on the nation. So yes, are we moving towards a failed state? We are moving very fast towards a failed state. Now people keep
halt this. How do we halt it? If you say we're moving very fast, how do we stop it? Simple.
This is what we are talking about by the consensus group, that the first thing that this nation needs to do is to come together, to have a constitution, to agree on the terms of our unity. For example, the issue of security. Was there a time the people of Nigeria agreed that we will have only one solitary police? The police we have now will never, I can tell you, if you know the death of the decay in the police, you know that it will never serve this nation. I have done a lot of research as a human rights activist. When we are quite active, we did a lot of intense research on the police. If we go into the military, forget about all the glamours and all the fine uniform. The fact of the matter is that there is a need for restructuring the orderliness in the military sector. So the only way to achieve this is for the people of Nigeria to come together to have a constitution of the people, by the people and for the people. We have never agreed on federalism, for example. People keep saying, oh, it is federalism. Did we agree on it? And did we disagree on confederalism? This nation must come, like we are saying, come together in a round table. What we have is a militarily imposed constitution, and it is not the content of a constitution that validates it. It's a procedure of making a constitution.
I'm
so
until
we have a constitution, we will not have peace or good government.